which was 4 in it. We'll be talking about it later.
Yeah.
But first, we should probably talk a little bit about stuff that may or may not be to do with it, because the subject that we're supposed to be talking about today or tackling is creation, the start of the world / universe.
Oh, start. Oh, I thought we were going to talk about ends.
No, we can do that next time. Today we'll talk about starting universes. Although, generally, they do say you need to demolish something in order to build something new. So, how far back do you want to go, Chris? Do you want to go so far back you're actually forwards? What?
Let's not blow their brains too much. This is supposed to be Witchcraft Live.
Yes. So, it's live, and we're talking witchcraft. That's really the main criteria, isn't it? So, creation and creation myths, the beginning of the world. I've noticed something, right, in my many years talking to magical folk, is that they all talk about working with spirits and deities, many of them from different pantheons and the like. And different pantheons, different parts of the world, different cultures and that, they all have different creation myths. So if someone works with one god or goddess and then works with an angel and then works with something else, do all of those spirits tell them different ways in which the universe started? So do they all say different creation myths? Or do they all say, well, actually, now I've got your attention, I'll tell you the real thing that happened? What's up with that? Because I don't hear anyone talking about that. You hear a lot about it in religion, the start of the world, all this and that, but you don't hear about it a lot from magical practitioners. And given that magical practitioners should be able to, and often claim to, speak to deities that created the universe or assisted in the creation of the universe, why aren't they telling us how the universe actually started? Chris, what's your thoughts?
Of course.
Whilst I respond to this here text message.
Oh, okay. You're more trying to multitask for a change.
I do very good at multitasking. It's just my computer doesn't cope well with multitasking at the moment.
No, not at all.
Look, someone sent me pictures of farms. That's really, really great.
Why farms?
I don't know. People send me random pictures.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. Sure. I don't know what it's all about.
Okay. To answer your question, okay. It really depends on the perspective of the spirit. Which is the first
Are they liars?
Answer.
How do you know if they're a lying to a start? Are they trustworthy? Do they know?
So, well, it depends on what spirits you're dealing with.
Angels.
Well, they won't know.
Something completely obviously with an unbiased opinion.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're not going to start with something like that. Anyway, and now I'll tell you, it really depends on, like I said, it really depends on the spirit, what access, what knowledge they actually know. If they were even around when their version was created. It really depends whether or not you consider, if you separate the universe itself and realities, because obviously the paradigms in which some of these deities live in limit their vision of that. So, you know, pick one of those to start with, because this is a huge topic, Liam.
I know, that's why I picked it.
Like, phenomenally huge.
So, if you had someone, say it's a complete beginner, okay, and they posed the question to you, how do I go about finding out what actually happened? Is at the start of the universe that we live in now? Because I've heard about this guy called Yahweh, and now he created it all in 6 days. And whether that's true or false, they want to know. Okay, and they want to know how they might go about knowing what actually happened, whether they should go about asking something else or what. Because I'm sure we've all got friends that lie through their teeth, and this person don't know if they can trust all of the diary of Yahweh or the biography, not autobiography, biography, because someone else wrote it. What are your thoughts? What advice would you give to them?
Well, the first thought process is that obviously you've got to separate which of these are actually allegories and which ones are actually supposed to tell you how. So most of them, because they're polluted by language, means that obviously they are allegories of allegories of allegories with some of them. So if you were to have that conversation with a deity, it would depend on their extension. So I personally would say, like any good reporter, should check multiple sources, and I'd expect you to check sources beyond Yahweh into other groups and corroborate stories.
Right, okay. So if this person is deciding to choose another spirit to get, say, different spirits, ideas, presumably they're going to want to pick something that was around at the time of the creation of the universe. That in itself may be a bit of a headfuck for some people, because they may be thinking, but if the universe is everything I know, then how come there's things about before the universe? And how many universes are there? So the person from the very beginning, because we can make things more and more complicated as things go. I just want the approach. I don't want you to reveal what actually happened. I'm just looking for kind of ideas as to what could potentially be used.
Okay, 2 seconds.
As method. Is he running away? Honestly, it's a live show and he's running away. I don't think the question was that hard, that you need to run away, Chris.
No, nothing you say scares me, let's face it. Some of the things you say puts me in a very awkward position, but never scares me off.
You're really such
sorry.
ass.
When you get too personal, too
personal with
my
your own
involvement.
private personal life.
Yeah. Anyway,
I see.
so, well, it depends. So what tools you've got in your cabinet, so, or your tool belt. So obviously the first options you've got are the most basic ones, which most people seem to forget, which is research.
That sounds like a lot of effort, Chris. I just want to know the answer. I don't want to have to read. I don't want to have to do any reading here.
Yeah, but we're talking about beginners wanting to attempt this, right? Not talking about you attempting this. So,
right.
You know, just going back and going up into one of your celestial bodies that was there and downloading the answer is not the option for most people. So what eyes are saying is some very basic research, so you know how to frame your questions, because like anything, how you phrase your question will depend on the answer that you get, particularly with some of these deities, depending on which ones you're going to plan on talking to, if that is one of your options. Obviously, so first and foremost is kind of, you know, your very basic research, so you know what actually am I trying to actually figure out. What are the questions I'm trying to get the answers to? So I suppose you ought to tell me what the questions you want to know, Liam, because which story is correct? Because I don't think that's That's too blended a question.
Well, that is my question. Which story is correct? The
But it's
angels
never
say
going to
one thing, and
it's
even
never
then,
going
if
to
you
be
go to
that
the
simple, though,
angelic
is it, Liam?
bar, you go to the angel bar. There's a whisperings, and that's like, yeah, we just go with this, but actually, half of this bollocks, you know. But we're not supposed to tell you about that, you know. You go to the demon bar, they say something quite different, and then you go off to the Far East, and they're like, well, I'll tell you, and I'll show you. We can go and meet the turtle.
Okay.
And other such wonderful things. So the perspective I find, if they're on the rare occasion anyone bothers to ask this question, is that they think that they should talk to a spirit and that the spirit will give them the answer. They don't think about time travel. They don't think about actually going and viewing it.
Yeah.
Which I find strange, but then, you know, psychic work is psychic work. I mean, you could say, get in a spirit or something like that that would be able to condense it down to something that's actually shareable and writable in the modern 21st century so that you could write a book on it, say, would make sense. Whereas you actually going and experiencing it in some form may be difficult for your brain to comprehend. I don't know. I think that it's very much a case of people think, I want to know which one's right. Is this Big Bang thing right? What is it? What's going on here? I don't know whether they care all that much about how it worked. I think they care more about having a rough idea of what happened and then aligning themselves to the reality. Because if you're going to start with myths and mythology in that, then starting with the truth, you might as well start at the beginning and work forward. So ideas about who or what actually created this universe and how they did it and when they did it. That in itself is extremely polarizing because some people think that the world, just the world, is 6,000 years old, you know? And there'll be many of the arguments over magical practitioners from certain backgrounds about, no, I know who created it. No, I know who created it. The one, my patron created it because I'm a patron of some, I don't know, guy or some shite like that. She created herself because technically, you know, I don't know. They all say random shit, don't they? And it can be polarizing.
But like I say, what's tricky is, again, this is why I say it depends on the actual question. Because if you're focusing on, you know, when did this universe happen, is a very different to when did the first universe happen. Or, do you know what I mean? They're very different places. So the question will depend on where you're going to go. If you're going with that, okay, well, I want to know what happened at the beginning of this universe. At that point, you're going to view something very different to say if you'd have said many universes ago. So you need to be able to pinpoint where you're wanting to go. So you need to actually understand what your question is. So, you know.
Any questions in the comments as hypothetical questions to ask, let us know. Just put them in the comments. But essentially, yeah, you are talking about presumably this universe because you're talking about someone that doesn't know the answer. So because someone doesn't know the answer, then automatically they may not have enough knowledge to even comprehend other universes. So you are talking about the most dumb Sunday school type person that is just on a little quest to try and work out more and find out the truth. A truth seeker, hashtag truth seeker or something. But the approach, because generally you're taught in the neo-pagan kind of world and in religion in general that the deity that created the universe is the most powerful. A lot of the time they think that. Whether that's bollocks or not, I couldn't possibly say. But, you know.
I think the most obvious one would be for a beginner to consider would be, what do you think you know? And start there, which is what I mean by research. So, you know, if you're going and viewing the birth of this planet, because you can kind of comprehend that, and then slowly take the story bigger and bigger, further and further back. So it might be, okay, well, I know at some point this planet became a planet, So how do I push back to that? So I'd view that section first. And then once I was comfortable with what I was seeing there, I'd then go, okay, how about when this galaxy was formed, like first formed, like, you know, and take it back in points that you can actually comprehend is probably going to be the easiest way to do it. Because if you go further back than your brain can actually comprehend, then you're actually going to be like looking at it going, I've got no idea what the fuck any of this is. So how are you supposed to identify and consider? So, you know, I would kind of, I know we don't like to consider things linearly. And obviously, in order to think about this, you are talking about linear because you're saying beginning suggests there is a beginning, a middle, and an end. So, you know, whereas actually when we talk about time as a complete and utter made up load of bollocks, that you actually start to think that, okay, trying to get their brain around that well enough for them to actually do something with it, they need to kind of limit themselves to linear before they can even start to comprehend the other layers and starting to think about quantum mechanics. But so, you know, depending on where your knowledge base is, I would start with the earliest point you can force your brain back to. So, like I said, if that's the birth of this planet or the birth of this solar system, and then the birth of this galaxy, and then the birth of, you know, and slowly get it back until you actually can go, okay, I can comprehend that much. That's my limit. I'll go to there. And then I can kind of figure out, did I go back too far? Do I need to go back forward again? Because my brain couldn't comprehend that properly. And yeah, but that's going from a psychic level and actually talking about remote viewing, scrying of various different kinds. Psychic imagery is what I'm kind of talking about there as that kind of methodology.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what about taking this slightly differently? A different approach, but along a similar line, because we were talking a little bit about spirits and not necessarily any form of remote viewing or astral projection or something like that, which would be a lot more interesting. The confronting spirits about the fucking lies they doth tell. Because there's this certain book that I heard literally fell from the heavens. And there's a many of things that are written in the book, right? And I'm wondering if anyone has confronted the person, the main character in said book, right? About how apparently they created the universe. And I'm wondering if you confronted said character, they'd say, I don't remember writing that. Or whether it would be like Katie Price, aka Jordan, saying, don't believe what the tabloids say. You know?
These are all natural.
Yeah, this is all natural. I've never had surgeries. Hashtag Michael Jackson. So what about that approach? What about going one by one and saying, look, I'm going to set the record straight. It's like Parkinson's or whatever else we have nowadays. Interview people on Telebox. Interview the spirit that's in the book or in the mythology and say, look, you've put your name to this. What do you have to say to defend it? Is this right? I can't remember anything about a turtle when I went and astral viewed it. So what's going on? And are they going to entertain, or are they going to say, get them cameras away from me like a proper celebrity would?
No comment.
If you get one of the ones which is a minor gods or goddesses, the ones that haven't been worked with and the names have been forgotten, are they kind of like Z-list celebrities? They love the tabloids because they don't normally get a look in.
Nobody gets
so they
look
want
in.
to play up to the cameras and say, well, let me tell you these scandals that happened long before you were, existed. There was this whole thing, there was this scandal, blah, 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 blah. Oh, have we got a question?
We ask.
Michelle, I'm new to this idea. Can universes exist simultaneously within each other if we discard the linear idea? Yes. There can be many. If you're discarding the linear idea, right, that everything exists on a timeline, then technically everything's happening at once. So every universe that ever has happened and will ever happen is currently happening. / everything that you've ever done and ever will do is currently happening. Quantum is called quantum because it all happens at once, right? So yeah, the idea of there being multiple universes is something that you hear about in kind of Deepak Chopra and quantum physics, and people that take kind of pseudo-intellectual pseudoscience and magic and then put quantum on the end of it to make themselves sound like they know what they're talking about, like us.
Yeah.
So yes, the idea we're talking about, this universe, this current incarnation of said universe, obviously there might be other ones. Not all the universes may be the same, so not all of them may have the same laws of physics, etc., etc. But you know, we're talking this one. Who created this one? What created it? And how did it come about? Is it like a big bubble in a bubble bath that's filled with other bubbles? And some bubbles are attached to other bubbles. There is such a thing called a sub-universe, which we like to create every now and then. But that is quite complicated... That's quite a complicated subject. A sub-universe. Which the basic idea from what you were saying, Michelle, is a universe within another universe. So sub-universe would be one that is attached to that universe. Kind of like if you've got a bag and it's got a pocket on the outside. You've got your main bag that you open up. It might have a little pocket on the outside. The pocket's attached, but it's still not part of the main inside of the bag. Someone just sewed a pocket on the side of it, which is what we're talking about when creating sub-universes. Would you agree, Chris? I think that's the easiest way to... That's the easiest way I'm trying to explain it anyway.
Yeah.
It's a matter then of jumping from one to the other then. Well, think about that. What if the other universe is less physical? If it plays by a different rule book, different laws of physics, if you were to create a portal and go through it, like they do on sci-fi and shit, you'd probably just splatter into a massive gooey substance on the other side because there are no laws of physics. It's different, potentially. If it was exactly the same, but just a little bit different, same laws, but maybe everyone there has orange hair and pink hair, you know, something like that, where it's all kind of the same, just a little different, then yeah, potentially you could physically go there. Obviously, from an astral perspective, there would be limits that as well, because the astral world, in your astral body, you're used to going close to this universe. The closer you get to other universes, the more likely you are to encounter obstacles, and all those obstacles are going to be you coming into contact with different rules, essentially, because we all know that in the dream state or in the astral state, the rules are different. You can make your own rules, but the closer to the physical world you are, the more strict those rules are. If you go really close to, as in go to another universe, then it would depend on what the rules of that universe are. And I don't mean no jaywalking. I mean laws of physics type laws. You know, matter and other scientific words insert here.
Yeah. Well, you know, there may be a limitation to how far the astral world stretches.
Potentially. I mean, there are things beyond the astral world, but if the astral world is infinite, then that don't mean that there's things, can't be things past it. Which is another difficult thing, because people don't understand eternities, the fact that there are greater and lesser eternities. One eternity can eat another one.
Yum, 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 yum.
we've got really complicated super quickly. So let's go back to some more funnier things. And that's right. Holding a spirits accountable for the shit they say or tell people. Now, is it going to be one of those ones like what I had to do when I was saying something in defending a client in a court and saying, look, this ain't what she meant. You're taking her words out of context. This is what she actually meant. Is it like that? Is it like, oh, well, I kind of did explain it to the scribe, but the scribe kind of wrote it down a bit wrong and then it got translated a bit wrong. So don't blame me. It's not my fault. But, you know, there is the rough idea in there. Or is it kind of like, well, I'm just doing my best here. Okay, I did say that. Yes, I did say that. But I figured that they weren't up for understanding the whole Big Bang thing. So I figured these people often catch and eat sea turtles. I'll just use a sea turtle analogy type thing. Is it maybe that, Chris? Have you ever had conversations with the spirits and the deities and the like, the big powerful ones and the old ones, about things like this? Do you ever reminisce?
I avoid the subject.
Why is that?
Because some parts of it are, how do I put this? Some people get sensitive about the answers.
Right.
And start...
when you say people, do you mean deities or do you mean their followers?
No, I'm talking about deities. And some of them get a bit touchy about the details and start assigning blame. And then it becomes a whole thing that you don't want to be in.
I have to say I can relate to this because I've talked to certain deities and spirits and they've said one side of the story and then I've gone to another one and they've said another side of the story and it happens to be these two characters in the story and one reckons that they almost won the fight and the other reckons they almost won the fight. Obviously both of them it was a draw, but one thinks that they were almost going to win, the other thinks that they were almost going to win. But then at the same time, you could think, well, that balances the equation out. Because if one says, yes, I was almost going to win, and the other one says, well, I don't know, that's an unbalanced equation, Chris. So if one says a lie, does the other necessarily have to say a lie also? Oh, it's complicated, isn't it?
Like I said, you've picked a really complicated... I'm pretty sure we said after Goetia that this one was going to be easier.
It is easy. Isn't easy. We haven't launched Witch Wars yet. You don't understand, Chris, how easy this Witch Wars is. I came up with it myself 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
It wasn't 5 minutes ago. It was a couple of days ago. But yeah. The finer details have been worked out, Chris, because I know when we do these Witch Wars and stuff like that, they were supposed to get more and more and more complicated. But then we figured we might have lost a couple of people at the last one. We did a roll call. We did a register ready to get back on the coach and found half of the kids were missing because the buddy system ain't foolproof.
No. Some of them need to be wearing better high-vis.
Yes. So this Witch Wars is going to be a lot easier. But we'll reveal that when it's time for Witch Wars. Is there anything else that you want to cover with this? Because we can always just go straight into Witch Wars if you'd like. Because there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of questions going on either. I don't know if that's like because I didn't share it in a lot of the groups.
Potentially, but also is the fact that it's one of those subjects where people are a little shy about talking about properly. Because people aren't used to talking about such a big topic, I guess, or such a polarizing topic, shall we say.
Right.
So, you know, some people get a bit tetchy. But there are lots of different concepts to play with. But for me, I think separating story from truth is something that obviously needs to be considered when they're doing it. So, you know, it needs to actually have the thought process that stretches out that. And it's not going to be a simple answer. There is no,
Okay.
this person
Now,
is right.
when I was a kid, I tried to introduce the concept when I was told off a couple of times that truth is merely just a perspective. But I still got punished, Chris, and that didn't work out for me. So does that mean that truth isn't just a perspective and that there is such a thing as actual truth? Or does it mean that I struck a nerve being a smart ass and I got punished especially bad because I showed up the person or people that I got in trouble with and made them look silly? What's up with that one, Chris?
Well, you know, I'd tell you off a lot. What are you getting at?
Well, I'm just saying, truth. If you did ask a spirit or something for the truth and they said, okay, I'm going to give you the truth, would it even be the truth? Is the truth even a thing or is it an illusion? I'm sure there's a song in that somewhere.
Somewhere
or at the very
along
least,
there. Yeah, probably a lot of jokes. But yeah, it's one of those words like fact. Well, fact is only a commonly accepted truth. So at which point does a truth become a fact, and when a fact gets downgraded to a truth? And then what does a truth get downgraded to? It's all semantics.
So are we saying there's no such thing as truth at the core, or are we saying there's definitely such a thing as truth at the core?
I find truth, like emotion, is a very human thing.
Is that why spirits lie all the time? Do they remember things how they want to remember them? And do their memories reshape reality?
Maybe.
Or thought? Maybe their thoughts reshape reality.
Maybe. Depends on which ones you're talking to, I guess. Separating the man-made ones from the birthed ones.
Oh, so you're talking about spirits that grew up within the universe.
Limited perspective.
Are there any spirits that grow up within the universe that like to pretend that they're older than the universe, Chris?
There's a few of those. Quite a
Is
few
that
of
like
those.
when you go to Tesco's and you've got those kids trying to buy booze and cigarettes with a fake ID and they don't stand up? They just
like,
get
we know you printed that.
shooed away. They just get shooed away, Chris. I've seen it happen. Right.
Those
where else
fake
are we
IDs
going with
only
this
get you so
subject?
far.
Where else do you want to go with this subject of creation and creation myths? Do you have a favorite creation myth?
There's a few good ones based around eggs. I quite like those. But that's because eggs are nummy.
Can you share one?
Oh, now you're testing me.
Or is it one that they might have heard of, or is it something you're just about to make up?
Since when do I make things up?
And by make up, I mean regurgitate stuff from previous lives. Those lost information cannot be backed up or proved or disproved.
Just no,
Bonus
I can't.
if it involves a scrambled egg.
Wow. I just thought the egg one. I just thought the egg ones might go because they like talking about eggs these days, don't they? Shape of the aura and things. But no, I actually cannot right now regurgitate any origin stories at the moment. My brain is kerfuddled.
maybe whilst I bring up the one, okay. They say that order comes from chaos and that the universe is orderly and therefore sprang from chaos. In your perspective, before this universe, was it chaotic or not?
I don't know. You've seen my bedroom. Chaos is kind of where I live now.
It's organized chaos because there's different perspectives there. Some say, well, this universe is the only universe, and when it ends, it ends. But it was birthed from chaos. First there was chaos, and then I established order, and then you've got to listen to whatever I say till the end of time, which is coming. So watch out and make sure you pray to me at least 3 times a day.
Yeah,
that type of thing. Then there's also perspectives of, well, what do you call chaos? Do you call them better editions? Like every now and then when you get a new phone or a new laptop, it comes out with a slightly better chip, slightly more powerful. You know, it's like, okay, this universe here is less chaotic than the previous, which was less chaotic in the previous, and the next universe that comes along potentially is going to be even more stable. And they're going to think we're chaotic. Is that such a thing? Is the idea of the never-ending kind of...
Yeah. Version 35.7.
Some people think that the universe just becomes ever more physical. And by physical, I mean crystallized, solid. And that the next universe would be even more solid than this one. To the point where we'll all be living in a rose quartz crystal. And that won't be good for no one. What are your thoughts on the idea of chaos, order, and all that kind of thing?
I find it too linear myself. The suggestion that things just get better and better in focus or further out of focus just suggests far more order than actually is there. And I think that says a lot about the people's perspective, like the people whose perspective that is. Whereas, you know me, I'm not big on set rules. Things are always changing.
Maybe the universe is just black, but you've got a torch, and that the only thing that becomes orderly is how bright and how far your torch can shine. Right, what's the question? Michelle says, how do you know which deities are the ones who grow up in this universe and which didn't? And what does it mean for a deity to grow up? When you get a bad deity that's misbehaving, you tell it to grow the fuck up. That's what you do. That's the comic answer. Chris, are you going to give a serious answer to one of those? Which one do you want to answer? Or do you want to do both?
Okay, I'll try and do the nice one. So the
nice one, which is the nice one, the easy one.
The easy answer.
Oh, okay.
So the easy answer would be to talk about evolution. So, you know, that as something gets older, that it, in theory, has the potential to evolve. So the problem we have with growing up and growing down, if we're to go and look at it in that way, rather than just joking about growing up, is that where is that evolution going from? Like, which way is the trajectory? So if you'd got a man-made deity, or a deity that had been human at some point, then you have the potential for that to grow up. Whereas a deity that has always been in existence has the potential to both grow down and grow up, and can recess.
Yes. It's like watching mold grow.
Wow.
Well, it is a lot of these deities. It is like watching mold grow. All of a sudden, you see a little thing, and then 5 minutes later, it's like, you know?
Fucking everywhere.
And then it becomes a problem. And then you got to kill it.
Yeah. repeatedly, making sure you've got it all.
Yeah. And if the right conditions are there, it just comes back.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, I'll
in
put that
terms,
big question up. There we go. So how do you know which deities are the ones who grow up in the universe, and what does it mean for a deity to grow up? So you answered the what does it mean for a deity to grow up by saying essentially something that's evolving, so something that's continuing
yeah,
to evolve, essentially. So in order to answer the other question, how do you know which deities are the ones who grow up in this universe? So origin, where did it come from? Okay. If it started here in this universe and then evolved out of it, you're trying to look for, if you're talking deities, deities are considered to be extremely powerful spirits, things. And if you're talking greater or lesser deities, generally speaking, you'd be talking greater deities are necessary for the fabric of creation to exist, i.e., they are the Jenga blocks that keep this Jenga tower up. You remove one, and the whole thing comes to an end, type thing. So they would obviously come before the universe, because the universe is essentially built upon those energies. Ones that grow up within the universe would be ones that started here and just have evolved and become more and more powerful, essentially. And essentially, when you're talking power, very often you're talking about pushing further and further and further. So if it is a piece of mold, maybe the mold starts off in the bathroom, but then it spreads all around the apartment, and then the entire apartment block. So does it start in the bathroom, which happens to be this world, and then spread to the rest of the apartment, that happens to be this universe, and then spread out of that apartment into other universes, other apartments, to take up the entire building, you know? Potentially that kind of thing. You're talking about spreading power. So really you have to understand those building blocks, I'd say, Chris. If you understand the building
yeah,
blocks first, you can see what's necessary for this universe to exist. And in order to do that, you kind of have to pick up and understand time. And if you understand time and can view time, you would then be able to look at what is here at the beginning, what is here further on, and then see where certain things crop up. I've had this conversation a lot with people that say, I've encountered some sort of a spirit that's attached to the land. It's very old, it's ancient. I'm like, what is it? Oh, I don't know. When did it get there? Oh, I don't know. Is it there before the beginning of the universe? I don't know. Like, probably not. If it's attached to the land, presumably it's either part of the land and anchoring it to the land, or maybe it exists in another universe and is anchoring itself to that land as a doorway to get through. Things get very, very complicated very quickly. That's why intermediate magic is intermediate, because it requires a foundation in order for you to explore intermediate subjects. Could we answer that question in a super simple way, though?
I suppose the simplest way to kind of put it would be to talk about purity, which I know is a really horrible way to put it. But if you were looking at a deity and looking at its core energy field, how pure is it? So does it
I don't think
focus
it's a
on
virgin.
no, as in how not that kind of pure, Liam, not that kind of pure. I
Is
keep
there any
telling
other
you
kind?
there aren't any of those about, I promise you.
So what, you're talking about drug grade purity?
Yeah, so we're talking about how much of that entity is pure of the same sense, or is it a mixture? Has it, is it a mixture of that energy field and that energy field in order to actually kind of go, oh, okay, I can grade that down into that, and breaking it down into, okay, is it a pure, is it a pure element, or is it a mixture, a compound? And often that is the easiest way to kind of start to look at something. Can I Can I taste? I know I've gone back to taste again, but you know, can I taste something different? Are there hints of coconut in there when they shouldn't be?
Ugh, coconut.
Yeah, exactly. So there is that kind of possibility to kind of talk. Obviously, Liam went to drug grade, but that kind of purity of essence is one way to look at it. Of kind of going, okay, is this muddled? If it's muddled, then it's more likely to have occurred after the birth of this universe, because the purest entities would be the ones that obviously existed beforehand, as in they've had less mutation, a different kind of evolution.
Okay.
I don't know if that was any more simple than the way you just explained it, but it was another perspective.
Well, a certain someone said they love the analogy. Loving it.
I think they were talking about yours.
Oh. Facebook user. Hi, boys.
That's
just
Paul.
Jumped on. Have no idea what is being analysed. Feel like I'm at a shroom party. Well, you've just shared a bit too much, haven't you? And just joined a conversation in the living room. But carry on and I'll catch up. Kisses. Kisses back to you.
So,
are we suddenly going to be discussing string theory and quantum physics? We've kind of already touched on that a little earlier, because we talked about quantum stuff and multiple universes. The main theme of this topic essentially is the creation of this world and this universe. Getting us spirits and deities in the room. If you got them all in the room, would they all agree? Would they all disagree? Would Yahweh and his angels be shouting and saying, bitch, please, I created this place is mine? Or would some other spirit be saying, huh, remember me? Yeah, you took this shit show from me.
yeah.
What would happen? Well, they're going to find out, Chris, aren't they?
In a corner, but never mind.
Yes. So, anything last before we go into the next week?
Paul say Yahweh is a dick.
Yahweh is a dick. Okay, I never said that. I just read it. Yahweh, if you're listening.
Oh dear.
I got me a good book to stick the spirit Yahweh sends to me in.
Is that a new Bible? Because that would be a massive coinkydink, because I've got a new Bible this week as well.
This one is one that goes in the Cunning Man's cabinet, Chris.
I got a new one this week.
It goes in there. So it's a one, because obviously we like to tear the pages out. I get nice little hardback ones every now and then to give out to clients for spell work or when we're doing it consultations. So I have got two, I think. Yeah, I got two. I got this one as well, look.
Oh, Paul will like that. I've just opened this one up at
still
Leviticus.
have all of the pages in. They're in virgin. But they will be going in the cabinet, because clients will get their little mitts on them and they'll start working with them. So yeah, anything else that we've got to cover, Chris? Because we're not giving away the secrets, are we? We're not giving away the secrets of the universe, because that's what technically they got to do with Witch Wars.
Witch Wars 4 has got to happen. So
yeah, going straight into that, or do you want to take any final questions?
We can take final questions.
Okay.
But
Give us some final questions, people listening. Come on, don't be shy. The title of those books.
They're all called the Holy Bible.
Well, this one is called the New English Bible. Okay. That one. And it is by Rawlinson Sims. I don't think that person wrote it. I think that's the person who probably was given it to go to church and never ever used it. It's got no annotations and it don't seem very well used. This one is called the Holy Bible. And Chris, look at that. Ooh.
That's a
Oh, you
nice
don't
one.
find many of them, do you? Which meant that this is probably belonged to an old Catholic or something like that, I'm presuming.
Right.
I do like to
And
collect old Bibles because
and this new one I've got is a Church of England one.
you've got Church of England. Yes.
So,
What are you drinking, Liam? Well, this is a Stella Cidra, which has some liquid in it. And the liquid is what I'm drinking. The Bible, Yahweh's Genocidal Adventures. That sounds like a brilliant Netflix series.
that
The
does.
Bible, retelling of the Sumerian creation story. The Bible, Adventures of Celestial Narcissists. I don't know. I think that they would all make brilliant series
Netflix
on
seasons.
Netflix, if I'm honest. I might have to scoop a couple of them up, actually, because they're just too good to let waste.
Yahweh's Genocidal Adventures. That has definitely got to be a podcast at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to save it. Look, I'm getting the picture of the screen. Oh, crap. I'm still getting used to this phone. There
I
we
like
go.
that. Yahweh's Genocidal Adventures. I think that's the best one you've ever come up with, Paul. I don't think you can beat that one.
Right. Yeah, so I'm presuming there's just statements left, such as Yahweh is a dick and other such things. I'm glad no one's mentioned the one-eyed wonder, if I'm honest.
You don't need to mention him
I'm
because you've had enough
surprised.
trouble this
I'm
last week.
surprised. I'm surprised people haven't mentioned that one, because that would be an example of one that grew up within the universe.
Don't be giving trade secrets away.
But there we go. So are we going to go on to which was 4 now, the competition?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, right.
Ready?
Roll titles for Witch Wars 4. Which was 4? Origin. Got to put it there, haven't I? Because I'm off screen there. 4. Yeah. Which Wars 4 is called Origin, as in the origin of the universe. As in, you, as part of the competition, will be going back to the origin of this universe we is all currently sat / stood / in, and telling us what's there. Is that right, Chris? It's about right. Yeah. So
what you see, how you see it.
Obviously, for those that don't know, because some people won't know, Witch Wars is a competition we at the Thoth Witchcraft shop hold every now and then. We set you a task, and bunches of witches and magical practitioners compete against each other to complete said task. Sometimes there's only one winner, sometimes there are multiple winners, and there are different, obviously every Witch Wars is slightly different. So we've gone from cursing and healing to remote viewing to summoning up demons and all sorts of stuff. So this Witch Wars, what we want you to do is to go back and explore the origins of this universe that we're currently in. Now, how are we going to grade this, Chris? Because obviously this is supposed to be much like the stuff that happens after the universe and after people pock their clogs. It's supposed to be a mystery / secret, so we're not supposed to give too much away. So how are we going to go about grading this Witch Wars, because we need to make it easier from the last one, because I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 people died. This one will be far easier.
This one, I think, is going to be graded best on methodology. So this is about showing you're working. So right or wrong answers don't really matter. How you get to the answers is what we're grading.
Right. So they get marked on effort instead of
Yes.
actually completing a certain, because normally we get them to do something, and if they can't do it, then they fail. This time, what we're doing is we're doing effort, and we're going to be awarding points on effort. And what we're kind of looking for is we're looking for you to investigate the origins of this universe. So you might use remote viewing. You might summon up a bunch of spirits and ask them what their thoughts are. And you might go and do some astral projection. You might do all sorts of things. You might try and contact and merge with parts of yourself that may be there already. Who knows? But essentially what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to attempt in many different ways to go back and view and investigate the origin of the universe. And then what you then do is you can tell us by messaging or putting in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group. Shout out to the Witchcraft Live Facebook group. You can put underneath the Witch Wars video your attempts and talk about them. This is going to be quite an easy Witch Wars for many. However, what we are doing is, because we're giving you points for effort, that would be ingenuity. Are you thinking outside of the box? You know, what experiences are you having? Are you struggling to get back so far? How are you getting back? Are you jumping backwards in time at different parts? How are you locking onto it? How are you working out whether what you're viewing is this universe and not one that's somewhat similar to it? All of these things are going to be things that you are going to have to think about, because obviously we're going to be awarding points based on effort, and that effort is going to come from people that choose the smartest approach is to this. Now, I know in the Witch Wars 2, we did a little dossier, didn't we? We released a dossier, blanked out, and the people had to fill it in by remote viewing and spying on the person. What you could do, potentially for this, is to make a little diary or something like that, or make a little, I don't know, not dossier, but a little journal or something about the approaches you're taking. So, for example,
what's good.
Yeah, if I was taking the approach of, I'm going to use my tarot cards in order to see what's going on at the origins of this universe, I might do a tarot reading. I might do a couple of tarot readings. I might ask a couple of questions. I might record the details in my journal book or on my Word document. Then I might turn the page and I might say, I'm not going to use a tarot now. I'm going to use a crystal ball and write a little bit there. And then say, okay, I'm done with that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to contact this certain spirit. So what you're doing is you're coming at it from multiple angles. And then hopefully what you'll get is you'll get the correct answer. So you'll actually investigate what's going on there, because it could be quite interesting, might be boring. But most importantly, you will be used to taking multiple approaches to confirm information, because I know many people have kind of fell down, I think, Chris, on the second Witch Wars, which was the kind of remote viewing and the spying, psychic spying. So this kind of takes into account Witch Wars 2 and Witch Wars 3, because with Witch Wars 3 it was about evoking spirits. Well, you could do that here. You could also invoke spirits, or you could do your psychic work and do your remote viewing, you know, all of that sort of thing, astral projection. The world or universe is your oyster. We just want you to tell you what happened at the start of the oyster.
What I will say there, though, is it's not necessarily about who looks at the most different ways. You know, you don't automatically win because you tried 30 different ways and got a shit answer. what we're talking about is effort put in. So, you know, it might be that actually you spend the next 4 weeks pushing every type of tarot you could possibly imagine. It depends whatever works for you, but it's how far you've managed to push whatever methods you've chosen to use. So yeah, I don't want you to, after what Liam's just said, I don't want you to suddenly think that if I try 30 different ways, that all of a sudden you're going to win. It's about what the quality of the information. So going back to Witch Wars 2 with the spying, it's about quality, not necessarily quantity of information. What's interesting is going to be what your approaches are and why you've gone for those approaches. So I suppose, yeah, what Liam said, like a journal or something like that. And I don't mean it needs to be, you know, fucking Samuel Pepys or Anne Franks. It just needs to be kind of like, these are the things I've tried. These are the sorts of answers I got, you know. What I think some people fell down with Witch Wars 2 was that they kind of second guessed what they thought we wanted to see, and actually left information out that they would have otherwise used. And actually, you know, one person in particular springs to mind that actually some of the things she told us in a consultation weren't on her notes, even though we know that they went down that avenue. But actually, they got no points for it based on the fact that they didn't actually write it down in the dossier that they handed in. So kind of, you know, think about what information you want to push down, and don't think about necessarily what you think we want to hear. Just kind of put what you actually, where you're going, even if it's a dead end. There might be some nugget of gold in that dead end, or what you think is a complete dead end is something that we were quite impressed with. So, you know, go for the journal approach. It doesn't need to be War and Peace, but obviously it just needs to have all your good ideas down, so that actually, you know, or your best methods. Because in a lot of ways, what we're going to be judging is not necessarily the information this time, but more about how you went and what your line of questioning is. You know, how you've actually got to those answers is going to be the interesting thing for us.
Yeah. So as with all Witch Wars, you have a month to do this. So it will be the first Sunday of October, is it, that we will announce the winners. And I think what should be fair, given that this is a, you know, points being awarded based on effort, we will create a tally, and then we will explain how we've awarded the points and that on the next Ask a Witch. So when we do the results and the answers
on the 3rd,
I think Thoth points will be awarded for this also. So you will get the Thoth points for whoever wins, but also, because obviously we often do award Thoth points for effort and interesting things, we will be awarding them as part of Witch Wars 4. But full details will be found on the Witchcraft Live Facebook group, and I'll be putting them on tomorrow, which is Monday. Okay. Any questions, then obviously you can all let us know. But essentially, all you have to do is use various different means at your disposal to explore the origins of this universe. And all we want you to do is show your workings. You will not be awarded points or winning or anything like that for the answer, only for the workings out that brought you to the answer, because I think that's the fairest thing to do.
Yeah. So especially because the reason for that, in some ways, is if one of you happened to be there, has an unfair advantage on the others. So actually, you know, if it was a case of, okay, you were there, you watched it, you saw it happen, and you get the right answer, the very, very right answer, then obviously that would be unfair. Also, proving what we call the right answer is also sketchy also. So the best way that we can score this is on working. I think what I will say is there'll be the kind of official points awarded for on the 3rd. But I don't think there's anything in the rules that say me and Liam can't award thoth points for what you post on Witchcraft Live while you're working. So those are separate. So, you know, potential for bonus points of anything particularly interesting.
We have started giving out and awarding thoth points to people that put interesting posts and stuff like that on Witchcraft Live and the No Holds Barred Witchcraft Facebook group, all of those things. So we'll continue to do that. It just may mean that you might get double points, because we will have a point system that we will be doing for this Witch Wars 4. But just because you get points on that does not mean that you won't necessarily also get thoth points as well. So it could be some quite exciting stuff. And as we all know, winning Witch Wars equals a physical prize and a bunch of other stuff, the secret. And winning thoth points, eventually, if you get enough to get 1,000 thoth points, you'll also get physical prizes and super secret stuff as well. Not to mention, winning a Witch Wars puts you at a very elite little club. And there aren't that many people in said club. So it's worth doing it just for that. Anything else? Or have I forgotten anything that you can think of?
I don't think so. Yeah, just going over again.
Right.
What did you just do?
So Witch Wars 4. Okay. That's it then, yeah? Presumably?
Yeah.
Right. Should I play us out with the intro that I spent fucking ages working on?
Yeah, you deserve that.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone.